the telling of edifying tales and folk stories. It makes very few concessions to popular theatre. In a way, it is pure theatre, a masked expression of drama.
From the spiritual depths of the Japanese Middle Ages come the solemn sounds, the brilliant sights, and the concentrated emotions of the Noh drama. Drums and flute summon up spirits from the world beyond, and the polished stage becomes a timeless sanctuary for visions and relived tales of the past. The main character enters along a bridge, slowly and with suppressed energy, undergoing the infinitely long passage from the other world to our own. Each Noh play centers on a single actor, the shite, or doer. The supporting actors, the musicians and members of the chorus concentrate their spiritual, physical and artistic energies on the shite. The main actor is thus embodied and emboldened by the vigorous support of all present on stage. His performance is in a constant relationship of intense give and take with them. Stage props are kept to a minimum, and within the narrow confines of carefully ordered modes of movement, the vast compass of human emotions is given expression and elevated to the sphere of fine art. The play, called The Well Curb, begins late at night as a traveling priest arrives at a deserted temple closely associated with a famous poet of ancient times. By the well curb on these temple grounds, the poet had enjoyed many childhood hours with his little girl playmate. Upon coming of age, they married, their tender poems of courtship immortalizing the well curb beside which their love had grown. The priest offers up prayers in remembrance of the poet and his wife. But as he starts to leave, a beautiful woman appears. Asked why she has come to such a desolate spot, the woman is at first evasive. She tells the story of the Well-Curb lovers, and finally, before disappearing, admits that she herself was once the girl of the romance. As the first half of the play ends, the priest realizes that he had encountered an incarnation of the Well-Curb woman. Like masks all over the world, the Nore mask helps establish the age, sex, and station in life of a character. In other words, it helps to create the illusion of a separate dimension. At the same time, however, it is invested with the power of symbolizing human emotions at their most universal depths. The so-called neutral expression of the Nore mask comes alive during performance, capable of an infinite variety of emotions. The French poet Paul Claudel, an early Western admirer of the Nore, wrote the following: "Always in Nore, the mask has the same function. It removes the personage from actual time and consolidates forever the passion of which it is the form, with the age of which it is the symbol, with the historic or legendary event of which he was the maker." The Nore mask is far more than just a disguise. It exerts a rigid control over the actor's performance. Indeed, it is the standard to which all movement and expression must conform. Nore actors say it's not the performer that looks, but the mask. The Golden Pavilion, a living symbol of the extravagant 14th century court which first patronized the Nore and helped raise it above its humble origins. The bond between art and government, however, was mutually beneficial, for the refinement and culture provided by Nore fortified the legitimacy of a still unstable regime. Nore was loved and protected by the nation's rulers over the centuries, surviving times of both war and peace. Nore suffered 3 crises during its 600-year history. The first was the long period of civil war in the late 16th century. The second was the 19th century Meiji Restoration, when Japan opened itself to the outside world. The third was defeat in the Second World War. Now, however, nor prospers once again in the hands and hearts of the common people. Kagefusa Umewaka is 30 years old, born and raised in a traditional family of Noh actors. His training began at the age of 3 with his father. According to Zeami, the great genius at the fount of the tradition, a Noh actor should be committed totally to the cultivation of his art. In his most famous treatise, Zeami divided an actor's career into 7 stages, specifying the concerns and concentrations for the actor at each stage. Throughout, he prescribed correct training, single-minded devotion, and refined inventiveness as crucial ingredients in the making of a true master. First and foremost, a Noh actor must acquire the skills of singing and dancing. Upon the firmly laid foundation of voice and body control, the young actor is then guided in the development of a large variety of roles. Over the course of his career, he will perform the roles of maidens and old women, warriors and old men, demons and gods, and spirits of nature. Kinuta is a play dealing with the jealous despair of a woman whose husband has been away for 3 years in the capital on a lawsuit. She languishes in her lonely provincial home, waiting for his return. The central poetic image of the play is the kinuta, a fulling block on which silk clothes were beaten after starching to restore their gloss and stiffness. Together with an attendant, the woman pounds the fulling block in an act symbolic of the restoration of a weakened and fading love. As she pounds, she prays that the western wind will carry the sound to her husband. The woman's hopes, however, are dashed by the message that her husband will be away for yet another year. Dispirited, the woman loses the will to live. The first half of the play ends as she quietly exits, her body an empty shell. In the second half of the play, the woman's spirit returns from the world beyond to unburden itself of emotional suffering and animosity. Many plays, particularly those of Zeami, are cast in this same format. Spirits of individuals who die with a grievance return briefly to this life under the strength of their worldly passions. In this way, Zeami reveals the eternal nature of human passions. The Poetess and the 100 Knights portrays the unrequited love of a young courtier for Komachi, a beautiful and famous poetess. In life, the poetess had rebuffed him, jesting that she would accept his love after he'd made his way to her home 100 nights and slept in front of her doorstep. The courtier took this seriously, braving rain and snow to visit. But on the 99th night, he succumbed, his spirit weary and worn. After death, in the second half of the play, the spirit of the courtier returns to continue his pursuit of the poetess, herself a spirit now. The play crystallizes the confrontation between the spirit of the poetess, striving for salvation, and the courtier, trying to block her salvation. The play Lady Aoi centers on the jealousy of a high-born lady who is caught between passion and the propriety expected of her as an aristocrat. The woman's unsettled spirit temporarily escapes her body and appears at the sickbed of her rival, represented by a red robe laid at stage front. As the spirit gives vent to its grievances, it becomes increasingly agitated, more and more tempted to torment the sick rival. The first half of the play ends as the woman withdraws, no longer able to maintain her composure. second half of the play, the jealous spirit is transformed into a raging demoness, hungry for the life of the sick rival. A mountain priest, known for his power to subdue evil spirits, is called in, and a vigorous battle ensues. The Burden of Love is about an old palace gardener who falls in love with a court lady. Hearing of his impossible love, the lady makes an equally impossible demand. She would accept him if he shouldered a boulder wrapped in silk brocade and carried it around the garden hundreds and thousands of times. The gardener, however, fails even to lift the weight. He dies shortly after, his spirit exhausted with chagrin and resentment at the lady's cruelty. In the second half of the play, the gardener's spirit returns as a vindictive apparition and unburdens its anger against the lady. This play is considered one of Zeami's finest. With exquisite subtlety and substance, it delineates the progress of unrequited love from hope and anxiety to despair, anger, and resentment. Pressed by the gardener's passion, the court lady regrets her heartless deed and bows her head in shame. At this, the vindictive attitude of the spirit immediately mellows, and as the play ends, the spirit vows to be the woman's heavenly protector. Many such tormented spirits of the Nor achieve salvation at the end of a play. This is an expression of the Buddhist context out of which the plays were born. The area just off stage, where the actor makes final preparations for his entrance, is called the mirror room. It's a sacred space in which the actor accepts the spirit of the mask he will use. As he raises the mask, the actor must focus all his spiritual energy. This is to rid himself of ego and self-consciousness. For once the mask is in place, the actor must submit himself totally to it and to the role which he plays. And for an hour or an hour and a half, he is removed from ordinary time and circumstance. He becomes a medium through which the spirits of other worlds and other times may act. The well-curb woman who had vanished at the end of the first half of the well-curb returns in a dream of the traveling priest. She's wearing the headpiece and robe of the poet who in life had been her lover and husband. Possessed by these garments and by yearning for her lover, the woman dances to the music of flute and drums. The aesthetic ideal of No is expressed in Japanese by the difficult term yugen, which means dark, obscure beauty, a beauty which is mysterious, quiet, refined, a beauty of unfathomable depth. Rich poetry, elegant movement, and music which springs not so much from the heart as from the depths of the abdomen. These elements combine to embody eternal passions of the soul and produce that ethereal quality called yugen. The climax of the well curb comes when the woman, garbed in the robe and headgear of her lover, peers into the well. The image she sees reflected in the water is very like that of her lover and intensifies her longing for him. Paul Claudel, the French poet, called No a moving sculpture, and the playwright Eugène Ionesco said that the staging of No captures the eternal. No is the world's oldest continuous tradition of poetic drama. The unique world of beauty which it preserves is one which transcends time and space.